Welcome to the deep dive. So if you're involved in crypto at all, you've almost certainly heard about hardware wallets.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
These are special little devices, right,
Hmm.
built specifically to keep your private keys safe. They're kind of like a high-tech vault against online nasties, mainly because they operate offline and have these secure chips inside.
That's a great way to put it. That hardware wallet basically creates a crucial air gap. It separates the control of your crypto from, well, the wild west of the internet.
Okay, so today, our mission is really to get under the hood of these devices. We want to explore their security properly.
Right.
We'll look at the ways they might be compromised, but also the protections they actually offer. We'll touch on some past incidents, where things went wrong or were tested.
Yeah, learn from history a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And see what manufacturers are doing now to make them even tougher. The whole goal here is for you, the listener, to walk away with a really clear picture of how safe your crypto actually is in one of these wallets.
And we've got some excellent source material from our listener today. It covers everything from the basics, how they work, right up to detailed breakdowns of specific hacks and some really cutting-edge security research. It's a solid foundation for our chat.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this then. To kick things off, just for anyone who might be less familiar, what exactly is a hardware wallet at its core?
So fundamentally, it's a physical gadget. Its main job, its entire reason for being, is to store your cryptocurrency private keys securely and crucially offline.
Offline being the key word there.
Absolutely. That separation from the internet is its biggest strength. By keeping those keys away from your everyday computer or phone things that are always online, it just drastically cuts down the ways attackers can get at them through malware or hacking attempts.
So, thinking in simple terms, it's kind of like keeping the master key to your digital fortune in a physical safe that hackers on the internet just can't reach.
That's a really good analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
And to make that safe even stronger, hardware wallets use something called secure elements.
Secure elements.
Yeah, these are specialized chips. They're built specifically to handle sensitive stuff, especially anything involving your private keys, in a very isolated way. They're designed to be much, much harder to physically mess with compared to, say, the standard chips you'd find in your laptop or phone.
Interesting. I've also noticed they always have those physical buttons and a little screen. Is that just for usability, or is there a security angle there too?
Oh, that physical interface is absolutely critical for security. When you want to make a transaction right, the important details like where the money's going, the address, and how much pop up right there on the wallet's own little trusted screen.
Okay.
And then you have to physically press the buttons on the device itself to say, yes, this is correct. Go ahead.
So it bypasses the computer screen entirely for the final confirmation.
Exactly. It means even if your computer is totally infected with some nasty malware that's showing you a fake address on its screen, you're verifying the real details on the hardware wallet before you commit. It stops malware from tricking you into sending funds to the wrong place.
That's actually really clever. It builds in a layer of physical trust. Now, we hear hot wallets and cold wallets thrown around a lot. Hardware wallets fall into the cold category, right?
Precisely. Hardware wallets are the classic example of cold storage because they keep your keys offline. Hot wallets, on the other hand, are always connected to the internet. Think software on your computer, mobile apps, or even the wallets managed by crypto exchanges.
Right, like exchange wallets.
Yeah. Hot wallets are definitely more convenient if you're trading constantly, but that online connection just makes them inherently riskier. So it's usually that classic trade-off, convenience versus stronger security.
Convenience versus security. A tale as old as time.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing how relatively new this tech is, though. Hardware wallets haven't been around forever, have they?
No, not at all. You're right. The first one that really caught on widely was the Trezor Model 1. That was launched by Satoshi Labs back in 2014.
2014, wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Suddenly made secure crypto storage much more accessible for regular people.
Just over 10 years ago. That
Yeah.
feels like a blink of an eye in tech terms. Okay, let's quickly touch on the heart of what these wallets protect, private and public keys. Can you give us a quick refresher on what they do and why keeping that private key offline is so vital?
Sure. So think of your public key like your bank account number or your email address for crypto. It's totally safe to share it. People use it to send you cryptocurrency.
Okay, public is for receiving.
Right. Your private key, though, that's the secret sauce. It's what actually authorizes spending the crypto associated with your public key. It's like the PIN for your bank card or the password for your online banking. You guard it with your life.
Never share the private key.
Got it.
Never, ever. And the main security win for hardware wallets is that they keep this super sensitive private key completely isolated from the internet where all the dangers lurk. All the complicated crypto stuff, like signing a transaction, happens right inside the secure environment of the wallet itself. The private key never leaves the device to touch your potentially infected computer.
Okay, crystal clear. We've got the basics down now.
Yeah.
Let's get into the slightly more worrying stuff, but it's crucial for understanding the real picture. How can these things be compromised? Let's start with attacks that need the attacker to actually get their hands on the device. Physical attacks.
Right. These physical access attacks often need some serious skills and sometimes expensive gear. A really well-known example is something called voltage glitching. This hit the headlines with the Kraken security team's research on Trezor wallets back in 2020.
Voltage glitching sounds electric.
Well,
What does that involve?
Hey, yeah. Imagine very carefully messing with the power going into the device, like causing tiny controlled brownouts or surges at precisely the right moment.
Yeah, how would you do that?
Well, the idea is to cause the chip inside to make a mistake. Maybe it skips a security check it's supposed to do, or maybe it accidentally reveals a tiny bit of information it's meant to keep secret. In that Kraken research, they were actually able to induce errors that let them bypass the security and extract the wallet's seed phrase.
Wow, extract the seed phrase. That's the master key, essentially.
Exactly. It was a big wake-up call. It showed that designers really need to think about protecting against even these tiny power fluctuations. Led to better power filtering and defenses in newer devices.
That's pretty scary stuff. What other ways can someone attack if they physically have the wallet?
Another major worry is messing with the firmware that's the low-level software that runs the device. This is called firmware spoofing or tampering.
How would that happen?
Couple of ways. It could happen before you even get the device, like a supply chain attack, where someone intercepts it and installs bad firmware. Or, maybe more commonly, they trick you into installing a fake update. That's sometimes called an evil maid attack.
An evil maid attack, like someone briefly gets access to your device.
Sort of, yeah. Or they trick you online. There was actually a case where hackers breached Trezor's email list provider and sent out fake emails telling people their wallets were compromised and they needed a replacement,
Yeah.
which of course would have been a malicious one.
Oh, wow. So they try to trick you into using a compromised device.
Precisely. It really highlights how important it is to be skeptical of emails and only get firmware updates directly from the official source, very carefully verified.
It definitely pays to be paranoid sometimes.
In crypto, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then, going even deeper, if an attacker has physical access and, like, serious lab equipment, they might try physical hacking with memory analysis.
Okay, what's that? Breaking it open.
Pretty much. They'd physically take the device apart, connect tiny probes directly to the circuits inside,
Whoa.
and try to directly read data from the memory chips, maybe while it's processing something sensitive, or interfere with how data moves around inside, all trying to snatch that private key.
Sounds like something out of a spy movie. Requires real expertise, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. High-level skills and tools. Then there are side channel attacks. These are really fascinating, kind of sneaky.
Side channel.
Yeah, instead of attacking the data directly, they watch the device's behavior while it's working. Like, they monitor things it unintentionally leaks. A common one for hardware wallets is watching the power consumption.
How can watching how much power it uses tell you anything secret?
It's subtle. Think of it like listening to a safe with a stethoscope. Different operations inside the chip use slightly different amounts of power. Researchers found that, for instance, typing in different PN numbers can create tiny, unique patterns in the power usage.
No way.
Yeah. So if an attacker has the device physically and can take lots and lots of precise power measurements while someone tries to enter the PN, they can build up a statistical picture, like a decoder, and eventually figure out the PN.
That's incredible. So they're not breaking the encryption, they're just watching the physical side effects.
Exactly. Ledger's research team actually demonstrated this kind of thing was possible on some KeepKey wallets. It's all about those unintended information leaks.
Mind-blowing. That's incredibly subtle.
It gets even more exotic with things like fault injection attacks. There was another piece of research by Ledger's Donjon team, this time on cold card wallets. They used a freaking laser.
A laser, seriously.
Yep, a highly focused laser beam aimed precisely at the secure chip inside. The goal was to cause a tiny targeted glitch, a fault.
And what did the glitch do?
It managed to trick the chip into entering a sort of insecure debugging mode. And in that mode, the normal limit on how many times you can guess the PI was disabled.
So they could just guess the PI over and over.
Exactly, brute force it. Now, this shows vulnerabilities can exist at a really deep hardware level, but exploiting them often takes crazy expensive equipment, like a laser setup costing hundreds of thousands, plus world-class expertise. Not your average hacker.
A laser beam bypass. Okay, that's definitely next level. Right, so those are attacks needing physical hands-on access. What about the ways attackers can get you without even touching the device, exploiting us, the users?
Ah, yes, the human element. These are attacks exploiting user behavior, and honestly, probably the most common threats. Top of the list, phishing and scams.
The classic emails and fake websites.
Exactly. And it's super important to get this. Your hardware wallet offers basically zero protection if you get tricked into sending your crypto to a scammer's address, or if you give away your recovery seed phrase.
So the hardware can be perfectly secure, but if you authorize a bad transaction, game over.
Game over. You might get a fake email saying your account is locked, or a pop-up promising free crypto if you connect your wallet, or even someone pretending to be tech support asking for your seed phrase to help you. You have to be vigilant.
We've all seen those dodgy emails. It feels like they get more convincing all the time, too.
Yeah.
Especially tough for newcomers.
They really do. Social engineering is a constant battle. Another related threat here is malware-assisted attacks.
Okay, how does that work with a hardware wallet? Doesn't it keep the keys safe?
It keeps the keys safe on the device, yes. But imagine your computer is infected with malware. You decide to send some crypto to a friend. You type your friend's address into your wallet software on the computer.
Right.
The malware, running silently in the background, sees this. Before the transaction details are sent to your hardware wallet for signing, the malware quickly swaps your friend's address for the attacker's address.
Oh, nasty. So the instruction going to the hardware wallet is already wrong.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is exactly why that little screen and the physical buttons on the hardware wallet are so crucial. You're supposed to carefully check the address displayed on the hardware wallet's own screen before you hit confirm.
Ah, so that's the final check. Verify on the device itself.
Absolutely. You need to be meticulous. Check every character of the address on that tiny screen, because even if the malware also fakes the address on your computer screen to match the wrong one, which is harder, but possible, the hardware wallet screen is your ground truth. It shows what you're actually signing.
Got it. So the hardware wallet is a vital piece, but it doesn't operate in a vacuum. The security of the computer you connect it to still matters.
Hugely. It's all part of the security chain. Which brings us nicely to potential issues with the software side of things, the apps we use with our hardware wallets.
Right, the software application-related vulnerabilities. What do we need to watch out for there?
The absolute #1 rule is only use the official wallet applications provided by your hardware wallet's manufacturer, whether it's for checking balances, sending, receiving, whatever.
Don't download random crypto ads.
Please don't. Using unofficial or dodgy software is just asking for trouble. They could be designed to steal your info, swap addresses, anything. A good tip is often the manufacturer provides a QR code or a secure link with the device when you buy it. Use that specific link to make sure you're downloading the genuine app. Don't just search the App Store blindly.
That's a really practical tip. Use the link they provide. We also saw something about a Ledger Connect kit issue in the sources. What was that about?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It didn't involve hacking the Ledger devices themselves, which is important. It involved a piece of third-party code called Wallet Connect, lots of decentralized apps or dApps.
Those apps that run on the blockchain itself.
Right. They use Wallet Connect to let users link their wallets. Hackers managed to inject some malicious code into that Wallet Connect library. So when users tried to connect their Ledger wallets to certain dApps using this compromised code, it could redirect their funds during the interaction.
Ah, so it wasn't the Ledger wallet being hacked, but the connection between the wallet and the app.
Exactly. It attacked the interaction point. It really highlighted the risks that can come even when your core device is secure. If you connect it to other, potentially less secure third-party things online, you need to be careful about what you connect to and what permissions you grant.
So again, it's about the whole ecosystem, not just the one device. Okay, we've heard a lot about how things can go wrong. Let's flip it. What are the actual protections built into these hardware wallets to fight back against all these threats?
Okay, good question. There are several key layers. We already mentioned the secure elements or secure chips. These are like little fortresses inside the device, specifically built to resist physical attacks and handle your private keys safely in isolation.
The hardened vault inside. Got it.
Then there's PIN protection. Basic but vital. You set a PIN code, usually 4 to 8 digits, that you need to enter to unlock the device for use.
And if someone gets it wrong too many times?
That's the crucial part. Most wallets, after maybe 3 or 5 incorrect PIN attempts, will completely wipe themselves. All data, including the private keys, gone. Poof.
Self-destruct sequence.
Pretty much. It's a strong defense against someone just sitting there trying to guess your PIN over and over, brute forcing it.
Makes total sense. Prevents simple guessing attacks. What about that seed phrase or recovery phrase we talked about? How does that fit into protection?
The seed phrase, usually 12 or 24 random words you get when you set up the wallet, is absolutely critical. It's your ultimate backup plan.
For if the device breaks or gets wiped.
Exactly. If your wallet is lost, stolen, damaged, or wiped after too many wrong PIN-ins, you can use that exact sequence of words to restore full access to all your crypto on a new hardware wallet, or even sometimes a software wallet if you had to.
So it's incredibly important.
Hugely important. But here's the flip side. You have to protect that seed phrase like gold. Write it down, store it physically offline, somewhere super secure where nobody else can find it, and never, ever, ever type it into a computer, phone, website, or tell it to anyone online. That's the #1 way people lose their crypto, even with a hardware wallet.
Keep the backup physical and offline. Got it. What about the BIP39 standard mentioned?
Right. BIP39 is just the common standard most wallets use for generating these seed phrases. The good thing is it means there's interoperability. So a seed phrase from a Trezor could likely be used to recover funds on a ledger, or vice versa if they both follow the standard. Gives you options.
Okay, that's useful. What about keeping the device's own software safe?
Firmware updates. Really important. Manufacturers find vulnerabilities or ways to improve security all the time, so they release updates for the device's internal software.
Like updating your phone's operating system.
Exactly the same principle. You need to install these updates promptly to stay protected against the latest known threats. But again, only get them from the official manufacturer's software, following their secure process. Don't click links in emails.
Right, trust the official source. You mentioned Trezor's firmware is open source. How does that help?
Yeah, Trezor makes their firmware code public. The big advantage is transparency. Anyone, security researchers, hobbyists, the whole community can look at the code and check it for bugs or security holes. It's like having thousands of extra pairs of eyes auditing it.
Security through transparency. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any more advanced security tricks some wallets use?
Sure. One concept is multi-signature wallets, or multi-sig. This adds another layer entirely.
Multi-sig, multiple signatures.
Yep. Instead of just one private key controlling the funds, a multi-sig wallet requires signatures from multiple keys before a transaction can be sent. For example, you might set up a 2 of 3 wallet, meaning you have 3 separate private keys, maybe on 3 different devices or held by 3 different people, but you need signatures from at least 2 of them to approve any spending.
So compromising just one key isn't enough.
Exactly. It dramatically increases security against theft or loss of a single key. It prevents a single point of failure.
Like needing 2 bank managers to open the main vault. Clever.
Mm.
What about physical tampering defenses besides the wipe?
Well, some devices use tamper-evident seals or designs, so you could potentially tell if someone had tried to open it up. And manufacturers like Ledger use their own custom operating system. They call it Bolos.
What's special about that?
It's designed so that the different apps you might install on the ledger, like for Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., are kept isolated from each other and from the core system.
Right.
So if there was a vulnerability found in, say, the Ethereum app, it ideally wouldn't be able to compromise the Bitcoin keys or the main OS. It compartmentalizes risk.
Defense in depth, multiple layers. Cool. We also saw a really different approach mentioned, material Bitcoin wallets. What's their deal?
Yeah, material wallets are fascinating. They took a totally different path. They basically eliminate all the electronics, no USB port, no chips in the traditional sense.
No electronics. How does it work then?
It's essentially a very durable piece of metal, usually stainless steel, with your private key information physically engraved or stamped onto it, often represented as QR codes. You interact with it using your phone's camera and trusted software for signing transactions, but the wallet itself is just inert metal.
So it cuts out all the firmware vulnerabilities, the side channel stuff.
Pretty much. The attack surface related to electronics and firmware just disappears. Plus, being solid steel, they're incredibly resistant to physical damage, fire, water, crushing. It's a very minimalist, back-to-basics approach focused purely on long-term physical security of the key itself.
Wow, that's a completely different philosophy. No electronics means no electronic attacks. Interesting trade-off. Okay, we've covered theory and defenses. What about the real world? What do we learn from security experts who actually try to break these things?
Yeah, the sources highlighted people like Joe Grant. He's a well-known hardware hacker. He's publicly demonstrated breaking into hardware wallets, including famously recovering about $2 million for someone who'd lost access.
Recovering $2 million, how?
He often uses techniques like that fault injection we talked about, deliberately causing glitches to bypass security. His work is powerful because it shows these aren't just theoretical attacks streamed up in a lab. They can be done with the right skills and tools. It really emphasizes why manufacturers need to keep improving defenses.
It definitely grounds the discussion. These risks are real, even if the attacks are complex.
Absolutely. And his work, along with others, feeds into that ongoing discussion in the security world.
Well,
What's better? Open source firmware on more general purpose chips like early Trezor's used, or these closed source specialized secure element chips that many others use now?
what's the argument there?
Well, open source means transparency, community audits, maybe faster discovery of certain bugs, but the specialized secure elements are often specifically hardened against physical attacks, like glitching or probing in ways general chips might not be. There are trade-offs in transparency versus potential physical resilience. It's not black and white.
A complex balancing act for manufacturers, then. It is good to know there are good guys out there, right? White hat hackers like Ledger's Don John team actively trying to find flaws.
Oh, totally essential. These security research teams, whether internal like Donjon or independent researchers, are constantly poking and prodding these devices, looking for weaknesses. They then responsibly tell the manufacturers so they can fix things before bad actors find the same flaws. It's a crucial part of making the whole ecosystem safer. Their work pushes the industry forward.
That's reassuring. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here. After this really deep dive, what are the absolute key things you think our listeners should take away from all this?
Right, let's boil it down. First, and most importantly, hardware wallets do provide a massive security upgrade compared to keeping your crypto in software wallets or on exchanges. That offline key storage is huge.
So they are significantly safer.
Yes, but takeaway number two, they are not impenetrable. We've seen they can be vulnerable, especially to physical attacks if someone gets hold of the device, or, very importantly, if the user makes a mistake.
So don't get complacent.
Exactly. Which leads to takeaway three. You must stay vigilant against phishing, scams, and social engineering. Your hardware wallet can't save you if you get tricked into giving away your seed phrase or authorizing a bad transaction. Human error is a major risk factor.
The user is still a critical part of the security equation.
Always. Takeaway four. Follow the security basics religiously. Protect that seed phrase offline, secure, never digitized. Use a strong PIN. Keep your firmware updated through official channels. These aren't optional, they're essential.
Good cyber hygiene is non-negotiable.
Precisely. Fifth takeaway. Remember that not all hardware wallets are created equal. They have different designs, different chips, different security philosophies. Do a bit of research on the specific security features of the one you're considering or using.
Understand your specific device's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. And finally, takeaway six. This whole space is constantly moving. New attacks are found, new defenses are developed. Security is an ongoing process, not a one-time setup.
Yeah.
Staying informed is part of the deal if you want to self-custody your assets safely.
It sounds like a continuous cat and mouse game between attackers and defenders.
That's a pretty good way to describe it, yeah.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. While we know no security system is ever 100% perfect, hopefully understanding these potential risks, but also the strong protections in place, empowers you, our listener, to use your hardware wallet with much more confidence and, crucially, more security.
Absolutely. We really encourage you to look into the specific details for your wallet. Read the documentation, understand its features. Knowing how it protects you helps you use it correctly.
Definitely. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. As the technology behind crypto and security keeps accelerating, the threats will get smarter, but so will the defenses. Staying educated and proactive isn't just helpful, it's really the essence of taking true control, true self-custody of your digital assets in this evolving landscape. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.